Hi, welcome to Growth Marketing Chat. Today I'm here with Mohamed Hanini. Mohamed is the founder and CEO of Curious Intelligence, and we're really excited to have him here today because he's building a really amazing product for insurance. Mohamed, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline, for your invite. Pleasure to meet you and share with you our company vision and advancement since we started.
Awesome. So my favorite question to ask to founders is like, how did you become an entrepreneur? What made you decide to like take the leap and start your own company?
Yeah, well, very good question. Long story short, it wasn't clear for me to how can I say it? I mean, it was clear for me that one day I will start a company, and it's been, I don't know, since my young age, and I was really hesitating about when should I start it. And I will talk a lot about running because I'm a runner, and I'm gonna make it maybe bring a little story. I started running maybe 15 years ago, and 15 years ago, and I spent maybe 7 years running by myself. No structure, just exploring. Just exploring many things, randomly one of my friend got injured and ask people on Facebook to get her beep, her ticket. And I asked myself if I should go for a half marathon, and then I decided to go. And in 2012, I started my first half marathon, and it went very well. So at the end of the day, what I wanted to say that I really believe on training, and you could start very young, but you will make many mistakes, and especially in the tech, like in a tech environment, and in our field, like in the insurance field and the financial services field, I was always training myself to how can I say, master enough the financial services and the insurance in the insurance field as well. However, I needed also to have a kind of maturity in computer science. So 5 years ago, I felt enough ready and mature in those fields to start the company. And I said, I'm enough trained to succeed. And it was a little bit my story. So I worked in the industry until 2012. PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, also in a pension fund as a quant. And I was comfortable in computer science, but not enough mature. So I came back to kind of do a thesis and like
Mm-hmm.
generating a random variable, and I learned a lot about technology, about computer science. So really, so my understanding and my knowledge kind of changed, and even the way I see things also completely changed. And so, well, in 2016, well, I said, okay, like I understand the pain point of the industry. As I spent enough time to, well, working on financial applications,
Mm-hmm.
and also I don't know, like I also understand. I mean, I also got the pain point in the technology also, and in the technology part.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main issue also is to retain people, you know, retain
Yeah.
people, and obviously, yeah, obviously to retain people, you have to offer them challenge. It's not about, honestly, it's true that you know, the wage is important. However, people they work also for, you know, challenges. And I was asking myself what kind of, you know, what kind of project that could bring like first of all, could, let's say, tackle enough pain points in the industry, but
Yeah.
however, we need to also bring many challenges to our developers to really be excited,
Yeah.
wake up every single day and say, okay, I would like to, yeah, I would like to find a solution for this and that. And well,
Right.
it's very easy to think about a robot like a virtual
Mm-hmm.
assistant, as we can spend 100 of years to improve a virtual assistant, in fact. And the best virtual assistant would be a human. But so even in 500 years,
Yeah.
we're not gonna reach the human level, the intelligence of a human. So that's my story.
Yeah, that's a big challenge. I love the story about like training yourself and like getting ready and having, you know, having enough knowledge and experience in certain areas that we can really leverage them. I think this is the first time I hear a story like this, but I really love it.
Well, as I'm still as a young CEO, I'm still I'm still in the training and the learning phase, as what I want to bring to my team, that I want to avoid all the mistakes I faced in the industry, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I will make also mistakes. You know, it's like our parents. You know, like they think that they think that the way they educated us is let's say better than the, you know, on in their yeah, it's better than the way they were educated. However,
Yeah.
they made mistakes, and same. So
Mm-hmm.
we knew, we know, and we knew that, okay, those mistakes we would like to avoid them for our child, and well, and so on. So we'll make mistakes,
Yeah.
and but the idea is to be aware that, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna make mistakes. And that's what I tell to my team today. Well, let's say your colleague, because I prefer to bring that angle, as I'm in the Scrum meetings, and you're really involved in the technical side, not to
Mm-hmm.
micromanage my team, just to make sure that you know, we all take we are aligned about the direction we'll take. However, what I always say and repeat, I will make mistakes, but I think that I will make less mistakes than you do. That's why I'm like leading the company, and as I know very well, I mean the company, the culture, also the product, and being trained for hours and hours, and well, it's obvious that I'm the one who spent more, more
Right. Right.
more time, like in the company. So that's
So
go ahead, sorry.
yeah, so something that's really interesting to me is, where do founders decide to spend their time, especially at the beginning, as you're growing your team and you're building your product, and you put a lot of time and effort spending time with your team and spending time on the product, versus being more on and this is something that happens quite often, right? Usually funders are either like on the sales side and like participating in panels and stuff like this, or more on the product side. And so I'd love to hear about, like, why did you think it was important to be really involved with your team, really involved with the product, to build your company, and why did you make this decision?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. And I was even asking myself sometimes, should I resign from a CEO and be more focused like a CTO, as clearly I'm the CTO of the company, However, I'm also the decision maker, and I'm the one who's making let's say, the important decisions. What I notice, that even our clients, at the end of the day, I mean, they have to first of all be convinced about about the product, and what they need. They need the product that streamline their processes, right? And also they need someone who knows very well the product that he's selling, right? And today, our first partners, of course, I spent time to convince our first partners to join, our journey. And then, the insurance industry is so well. The players, they know each other, they talk, and they saw that what we built is really, how can I say, we created a kind of hedge, between what we built and what the other, like what chatbot players are selling, and clearly that helped us to have more partners. And I'm pretty sure that will with the future announcement, they will join, So obviously we have a sales team, about seven people who are like reaching clients, and I'm available for, if they need my help to really to explain the product, and also clarify some aspects, as most of our clients, they care about, they are aware about the data, like customer data, privacy. They're aware about how would we integrate to their environment. So of course my role is to think about the channels, so where should we, how could we fit with with the insurance environment, and clearly, if I spend my time, pitching in the panels, I couldn't align our supply chain with the environment of our clients. So today we are fully integrated. Applied System, they have the monopoly in the brokerage area, in the PNC field. So today we could provide any premium of like any PNC carrier, so Intact, PAFCO, Promutuel, Unix. Why? Because we, how can I say, we integrated our platform with Applied System. So we partnered with Applied System, and that helped us to kind of build a bridge between our product, our company, and and the industry. So now we are enabled to, how can I say, to display any premium, any carrier premium to customers. That's the challenge, to be fully integrated with the market. So yeah, and well, clearly, how can I say? I help my sales team for, if they have any, I don't know, pain point, or if they need more explanation, to convince a partner, I'm here to help. However, my focus is how to really optimize the supply chain, and also think about different distribution channels, and align our supply chain with those distribution channels. As if we only count on people and on individual to sell the product, we will never be able to scale. And
so true.
That was my that was my thoughts.
Awesome. Great. Well, I guess I have my last question is, so as you went through this journey, right, what are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned as a CEO?
Many valuable lessons, but I'll say the first one is to really know your people, know your team, and also make sure that you have the right people, the right people in the right place. This is the most important, I'll say, lesson that so, when you start a company, or like I don't know, you are running, and sometimes you don't spend the effort to really to really, and also it's about also resources, right? You start a company, you don't have enough resources to make properly sometimes the human, the interhuman resource, interviews and so on. And that was my lesson. However, now it's it's very, I'm very well surrounded, to assure you. I'm very happy that we that we built a real seed, you know, like a founder team, I can say, not only having a CEO, founder CEO, and with the, how can I say, with a detached team. So we are we are now a founder team, and I'm very proud of my team. That yeah, and if we reach this level is also because of them. And that's what I always say. Every single member is important. So we are all like running in the same direction, and we really yeah, we really need to be aligned, and yeah.
The team is everything, and you know, it sounds cliche because everybody says it, but it's actually really hard to spend the time to, like you said, to spend the time. And also sometimes, like, you need resources today, right? And it's hard to be okay spending the time and waiting for the right person to, like, to hire, right? And sometimes it's hard to be patient enough, but it's life-changing. It really makes a world of a difference to have the right people on your team.
Yeah, it's totally true, and I can see it. I can see the difference, you know. And yeah, like it's very we really build like a multidisciplinary team, very dynamic. It's like we are like enjoying our journey, like so yeah, like we are having fun. Yeah, exactly, we are having fun, especially, you know, we faced the pandemic, you know, the remote work, and well, like I think it's another subject, however. And yeah, for us, it's I mean, for me, it's very clear that clearly we have to be flexible, and now we want to have a hybrid formula for, you know. But however, we believe that on-site work is also important, and having, you know, having everyone, you know, having everyone, I'll say, opinion in person is very important. As we are also designing the product, we are thinking together how could we improve ourselves, improve our processes, and
All right, well, Mohamed, thank you so much for spending the time today and sharing your story. That was great. I really appreciate it, and I think our listener will love it too.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much for your time.